Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, college football fans, hey, and music fans across the nation and around the world. This is Tim May with the Tim May Podcast. And man, I've got a co-pilot of co-pilots today, ladies and gentlemen. I've been wanting to have him on for quite a while now, and finally worked his way into his busy schedule. That didn't come out right, Evan Blankenship, but I think people know what I mean by now who listen to this podcast on a continual basis. They can translate my words. But Evan Blankenship, welcome to the Tim May Podcast as my co-pilot.
Tim, thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate you having me on here. I'm excited to finally be able to get to do this with you.
This is where you need to strum like an E chord or something, man. Just kind of
all my guitars are in the garage right now, just like getting soaking in their sweat right now. So it's with all the heat back in there. So I know I should have had something a little bit. I should have been more prepared. I should.
Yeah, you could bend some strings for everybody. But let's just jump right into it, man. I wanted to have you on because I do want to talk about you and your career, which is like you've been going on for a while now, building a major following around the state of Ohio, et cetera. I mean, Jake Ballard, the guy I play golf with a lot. We call him Bam Bam when he's on our golf team because you know why that. I know you've played golf with him before, but the bottom line is he swears by me. He thinks you're big time talent. If you don't, I don't know if you remember this or not, but your last year at Ohio State, I actually did a story on you in like December between the end of the regular season and the bowl game about, because I didn't know what was going on with you. I knew you played guitar and, some of your buddies said you sang in the shower, but I didn't know what that meant. And then boom, you're gone. I mean, y'all don't think you even played that bowl game. You were already pursuing your dream. But the bottom line is you've had a song in your heart for what, your whole life. How would you explain it to people?
Yeah, damn near. I mean, yeah. So I think, I remember that story like it was yesterday. Okay. Really? I remember still sitting in my room when you brought I can't remember the photographer's name, bring the photographer out.
Yeah.
I still got all that stuff. So it's been a minute, but I've always kind of knew I could sing, and I didn't pick up the guitar until later in college, but my mom always had music playing around in the kitchen, and it was always like Frank Sinatra, and we were like really big into like Boys to Men, and she like we played so much music in the house, country, pop, R&B, like that's just the stuff that I grew up on. So I was a huge Luther Vandross fan and Boys to Men, and then Usher. So it started kind of like on the R&B side of things, and then once I started getting into high school, kind of switch over to country music, and then come college, that's when I pretty much picked up a guitar and started playing. So I always, like I said, felt like the best thing that I was able to do in life was like sing. All right. So, and now it's cool to kind of, be doing that almost for a living. We're trying to get to the point where I am doing it for a living, but it's been a pretty cool ride so far.
Well, do me a favor, man. Keep the trailer with all your amps and everything locked up in a part-time storage spot. Don't let people run off with your dream. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely not. That stuff is we keep that stuff very close to us, all the band guys. So we make sure that stuff is locked up and making sure nobody's getting in or out of there.
Matter of fact, I've still got some floor amps and stuff in our basement here. My sons had a band way back when and stuff. I've been trying to get them to come over and get their stuff. We had one of my son's drum kit down in our basement forever. He can play drums extremely well, but as you well know in the music business, you can be the most talented guy out there. You still have to get discovered, right? I mean, and then you build up this following. And what has impressed me about you is the fact that you're keeping your nose to the grindstone. I had a brother that was much like you. I mean, very talented, could sing extremely well, never got that huge break, but they traveled all over Texas, played gigs, actually all over the country and stuff. You just wish you could explain it to people why you're building your following of like really how tough it is, but really what a great time you're having, right? I mean, all at the same time, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a line there. I mean, and we do look at it like kind of like as a business, right? We want to go out there. We want to put on a good show for people. We want people to follow us back because we want more and more people to come to our shows each and every time, we go out there and play. But yeah, it's, we look at it as a business too. What shows make good sense for us and what venues make good sense, and how many people can fit into a specific venue. We're kind of like getting to the point where people are like, just this past Sunday we had a show at 1:00, and we were being told that people were showing up at like 8:00 in the morning for a 1:00 show. And it's just like, do we really want to start doing that to people? So I mean, it is cool to see like the progression and how big our following is getting around Ohio and around Columbus and stuff.
Yeah.
So we're extremely thankful for that. But who knows what's going to happen, like what we'll need to be doing in the next, year, 2 years, 3 years. Like you said, if we do catch that big break or that one song that takes us to another level, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But it's been it's been pretty cool so far.
I hope you've got somebody, in the area, close to your group that's like getting a lot of video and things like that. So when y'all do make it big, like that Elvis movie came out, but you look at all these retrospectives on Elvis that have popped up ever since that happened. And you go, man, there was Elvis when he was 19 playing in East Houston, and there were, he was on the stage with a pickup band that happened to be there. And those are just cool things to watch, in retrospect.
That's a great thing about social media, I guess,
Yeah.
in this day and age, is that like people tag us and all that stuff on Facebook. So, we get to go back and see, or that like Facebook will pop up like Facebook memories from like a year or two ago, and we can kind of see what shows we were playing last year. Especially like it's cool like with the 4th of July week and stuff, because we usually always do stuff on the holidays, Labor Day, 4th of July, Memorial Day, all that stuff. So it's kind of cool to reminisce a little bit about what we've done in years past and kind of see the progression to where we're at right now.
It's funny the way you described your following too. It reminded me of the movie Hoosiers. Remember when they got hot and they got it when they were on the road, there was the bus, and then all these people from town following the bus. Yeah. I got an idea. That's what y'all look like on the road. Isn't that right?
I don't know if we're at that point yet, but that would be pretty nice. Yeah. It's people start chasing us down in our trucks and tour bus. So that'd be pretty cool.
Or like in Slapshot, remember that? We're there. Anyway, that's a movie from a long time ago. You probably haven't even seen, although it was filmed in your neck of the woods over there in Pennsylvania, New York. But of course, I digress. Hey, Evan, real quick before we move on, move in deeper into your career, which I want to get into. Dude, can you think? Just think if name, image, and likeness had been around back when you were in school there in the mid 2000s. You could have been playing gigs on the weekend, especially during the spring and summer, right? When Coach Tressel or somebody did have you guys running some kind of workout routine or something, but
yeah. And I think that was something that we talked about in like that interview way back when.
Yeah.
Back then our compliance department came up to me, and this was 2010-ish. I think when you could first start making money off of YouTube, and I had a couple 100,000 views on some of my videos at that point. And they're like, hey, listen, you're not able to, say you're Evan Blankenship with Ohio State. You're not allowed to have any kind of Ohio State stuff on. I couldn't go out and play at bars and promote myself as Evan Blankenship or anything like that, because that was, of course, a NCAA violation at that point. So look, like thinking back now, it's just like, I'm happy for the guys that are there now. I think that, at least they have the opportunity to get something in return, and it isn't this like huge deal anymore at this point. But it is funny looking back. It's like, damn, I could have started a lot earlier if I wanted to.
All right, do you have all your gold pants?
They're at my mom's house back home. Yeah.
All of them.
I have everything. I keep the rings with me. I think my mom has, I gave my mom 2 pair and my sister 2 pair. So they have the gold pants at their place. And I've got all the Big Ten rings at my place.
All right, we're still going to do a body check for tattoos in a minute, just to make sure you didn't trade any of those in. I think you knew where I was going with that, but you were trying to low key it because, you've always done things the right way. But it is crazy.
At least,
Yeah, but it is crazy. You were already building a following back then, but you couldn't take advantage of it. And I would think the more you look back on it, the stupider that looks, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. They're like, I look now and kids have like YouTube channels and they're making all kinds of money, both on YouTube and like with the name, image, and likeness stuff. And you're seeing guys now getting like hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars in like name, image, and likeness stuff. And, back then I couldn't accept any tips from anybody just from like standing on a corner playing guitar if I wanted to.
Yeah.
So like we've come a long way. I'm glad we're at this point where guys can do that. And yeah, I mean, I was never one to, break the rules or like step out of bounds or try to, press my luck with anything. So I just try to do things the right way. I mean, that was something Tress always instilled in us is, do the right thing. And then, so yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm happy for those guys though now that they can.
But in other words, a guy could have walked up to you with a pack of guitar strings, a replacement pack of guitar strings, and you would have had to pay him for them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Or, sit out.
Or sit out.
Whatever the suspension would have been for accepting a pack of guitar strings.
Sit out the Purdue game, Hey, by the way, hang on a second. I've got a call. I've got a question from a listener here. Hang on one second. Let me find it. It's a guy that you've known real well anyway. He doesn't want to identify himself, but he wants to know, he goes, ask Evan about his basement bedroom and beer pong bedroom situation at our college house. Do you remember anything about those kind of things, those hijinks while you were in college playing football at you said Ohio State a while ago, but it's the Ohio State now. You should have marketed that when you could have back in the 2000s, but go ahead.
I know exactly. Okay. So, well, I don't know who's sending this, but I had two basements. I lived in the basement of both houses.
Right.
The first house flooded like every other weekend. So I'd be asleep and then I'd wake up. If it would rain, then I'd wake up and then like I'd step like 1 foot out of bed and then there would be like water up to my shin. So I'd be like, oh, this is awesome. So yeah, I lived in that basement for a hot minute before.
Real quick, what part of around campus, or was it near campus? Where was it?
It was I believe it was 18th, and I think that house was like 18th and Summit. So up there on Summit, can't quite remember the street, what the exact street we were on.
Like Chittenden or something like that. No, 18th. Yeah, that'd been up. Yeah, but let me ask you this: did you complain to your slumlord often about it?
Not really. I just moved into our beer pong room. So the guys were kind of a little PO'd that I took away their beer pong room. I'm like, boys, this is like the 5th time this has happened to me. I'm not going to keep waking up. I bought like 800 fans to like put down there just to like dry the place out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I got to move upstairs. So there was that house. And then one of my other good buddies, oddly enough, is a huge Michigan fan. And so he'd come downstairs and hang his little Michigan flag in my basement at every chance that he could get. And there might have been some nights where I might not have been the most sober person in the world and have done some nasty things to it, but it was I mean those are the college houses, man. You just that's where you make all the memories at. So those were the good times.
I was gonna say, man, you had a big group of fans, a big group of friends that are still huge fans of yours, right? I mean, we were talking a while ago about Jake Ballard, but he's one of those guys, right? I mean, it's kind of stood by you through thick and thin, hasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he's him and I go way back. So Jake was 1 year older. He's 1 year older than me. So he was already in his second year when I first got there. And after my freshman year, he kind of, I think he took me under his wing, but like we just kind of merged friend groups. And so when he had an opening in his place in the basement that would flood every other day, that's where I ended up moving into. And all the guys that we were living with were, his buddies from high school. And so we all just became really good friends, and we've all gone to each other's weddings and we've been in each other's weddings. And so it's been, they're my friends for life now. So I'm very grateful for that.
Hey, the coolest wedding you've attended of all that group, who was it? Was it in Vegas? I mean, where did y'all end up going? I mean, what was the circumstance? Huh?
The bachelor party or the wedding?
Well, the bachelor party, yeah, but yeah, that's right. I guess the wedding wouldn't be in Vegas. Maybe it would, but
yeah. You never know.
You could live. As soon as you're leaving, happiness is Sin City in your rearview mirror. That could be a song for you. But
hey, I'm always looking for song titles. So anytime you want to send over some song titles my way, just let me know. Man, I think my bachelor party, I always say, it was like one of the greatest days of my life. My wedding, the birth of my children, and my wedding day, my bachelor party. We went down to Charleston for about 3 or 4 days, and I absolutely loved it down there. So it was we had a beach house right across.
Wait a minute! I thought you meant Charleston, West Virginia. No, I'm just joking. Wait a minute, that may alienate some of your fans. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way. Oh, I thought you meant Charleston, West Virginia. Oh, you mean Charleston, South Carolina. Now go ahead.
There ain't nothing wrong with Charleston, West Virginia. That's for sure.
No. There's some rabid fans down there, brother. I guarantee you got fans in that city. But what was the coolest thing about that? What was the coolest thing about that bachelor party? I mean, what do you remember most about it?
Oh gosh. Honestly, like
that you can tell us.
Yeah, right. It was like just going from like the pool. We were just out there drinking all day. I'm not one to like go out and like party it up like all big. So like it was kind of nice, just relax, hang out by the pool, and then just if we wanted to change up the scene, go across the street to the beach and hang out to the beach all day, and then we'd go bar hopping at night. So nobody got arrested. So I mean that's that's always nice. But it was just a good time with a bunch of boys from back home and then all my college dudes. So it was a good thing.
I'm not sure that's the basis for a really good country hit, though. I mean, I need to tell you about my weekend down in Nashville one time with 4 of my buddies down in Nashville. But that's where you're trying to get. I mean, what your band is named North to Nashville, correct?
About that, yeah.
And I was trying to help you with that really you live in Ohio, and so it's really south from here. But I digress. I understand totally where you're going with that. I mean, Michael Brewster's down there now, working for Eddie George at Tennessee State. I mean, Nashville's a hopping place. And let's just give people an idea of where you kind of are in your climb, because like I said, I had a brother who was trying to do this business for a long time, just waiting for that one big break, a band to put them in front, you know what I mean? Or as what do you call it? The warm-up act, or the, what do you call it? The first band that goes on, but just somebody get them recognized, to where they would get that big break. And to think you can just make that happen is kind of unrealistic, right? I mean, you've just got to keep plowing the road, right?
It's like very, very rare. I feel like that happens unless something goes viral on TikTok or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, whatever. Like we haven't had those viral moments yet, but we're doing very well, I think, within the greater Columbus area. I like to think of us as like the #1 band in town. It sounds weird coming out of my mouth because I don't really like talking like that. I mean, I think you mentioned it earlier. I just try to keep my nose to the grindstone and just keep pushing out as much music and, content, and just try to put on a good show for people. But our audiences, they're getting bigger and bigger every show. We're trying to take over. We've got this mindset. We're trying to take over the state of Ohio. We've got a lot of great fans up towards the Cleveland area. We're trying to break in more into the Cincinnati, Dayton market. We've got folks from out in Weirton and Wheeling and Pittsburgh. So pretty much next is going to be kind of moving towards Indianapolis, up towards like Toledo, I guess.
Yeah.
But we just played a country festival this past Thursday, country concert out in Fort Laramie. Old Dominion and Carrie Underwood were some of the bigger names there. And
Sweet.
And then we've got Blame My Roots Festival with Nico Moon this Thursday out in Belmont, Ohio. So we're just trying to grow this thing as big as we possibly can get it. And that's what I've always kind of said is I don't, take anything for granted. We're very appreciative of all the opportunities that we've gotten. It was just early. I think it was, almost about a month ago, a little over a month ago, we got the opportunity to open up for Eric Church at Kemba Live. So, and wow. That was surreal. I mean, in front of like 5,000 people that we were playing in front of. So those kinds of things are, what keeps us going, I should say. So it's been a good journey for us so far.
And let people, I mean, how much of y'all stuff is original? How much do you cover? I mean, how much, you know what I mean? What's sort of y'all's mix there?
Yeah, so it depends by show. So we do have a record coming out later this year. It'll be all original music. We've got 10 songs coming out. We do have music out currently on Spotify and iTunes and Pandora, pretty much however you listen to music, you can find us. So we do have 10 original songs that we'll be putting out. But usually when you come to our shows, like we'll play anywhere from like typically between 3 and 4 hours. And so we'll try to do like three it'll be like 3 covers and then like 1 original. So like we'll work in 7, 8, 9 originals throughout the length of the entire set. But those kind of shows, when we go out to bars at like Buckeye Lake or like Ugly Mug and like Canal and like all these other places, people just want to dance and listen to the music that they're familiar with. So we'll sneak in our originals every now and then, just to kind of give them a heads up, like, hey, this is our music that you'll be able to listen to here in the next few months. We've gotten a lot of great responses back from them. So I think the folks that we've talked to and the people that come out and see us, they're excited to get some North to Nashville original music in their lives.
What do you find, Evan, is the attraction? I mean, because I would think part of your time is you may not even know you're doing it, but you're studying other people.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, and you're wanting to know, okay, who's the guy I'm thinking of? Is Stapleton? Is it, what's his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
so,
he was sort of an unknown, and all of a sudden, dude, he's as hot as it gets, right? I mean,
well, I don't know, like he might have been unknown to a vast majority.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But in Nashville, pretty much everybody knew who Chris Stapleton was.
Yeah.
Like he's one of those guys where you said like I think he got a writing deal like his 3rd or 4th day in Nashville, and then he was writing for like pretty much everybody else in town. So I don't know how common that really, like that kind of thing really is, but yeah, he had an incredible writing career. He's written thousands of songs for people, and then when that time came for him to kind of turn into a solo artist, I mean, he took off. Yeah. Tennessee Whiskey came out, and he played with Justin Timberlake, and it was like lights out. It was game over. So
that Tennessee, I love that song, Smooth as Tennessee Whiskey, man. I mean, strawberry wine. But I'm sorry, I'd start singing, but that would ruin the whole.
There you go. Come on, man.
Because I was blessed with no singing talent. I can't even talk straight. So go figure.
We often saying it's just a matter of if we're in tune or not. So
no, it's a matter of if someone's listening or not. That's because I sound really good by myself. I'm big on Elvis's trilogy, man. I love the American trilogy. I can sing that all night in the shower. But the bottom line, what we get to here though is, have you found, is it the way you sing that's attractive, or is it the songs you sing? You understand what I'm saying? I mean, because a lot of people do cover stuff, who are never going to make it big. Right now, you're bigger than most people ever get, who pursue this for a living, et cetera. But what do you think it is about, I guess, your voice that attracts people, I guess?
I think there's a good mix of, I think my voice is unique. Yeah. I don't think there's a whole lot of people around town that sound like me. I think it's a combination of what the band's doing behind me. I think we've got one of the best guitar players in Columbus, Brian Turnbull. I think we've got one of the best bass players in Ryan Toohey. And then I think our drummer, Ben Anderson, is one of the best in, the entire town, state, whatever, as well. So the guys that are behind me playing, I'd put them up against anybody. So between my vocal, the band that we're playing, and then the songs that we're playing, to your point, I think people can come to our shows and expect us to play songs that they won't hear anywhere else. I was in Nashville for 6 years, and it's like you go from one bar and you'll hear Turn the Page or a Johnny Cash song or whatever, Wagon Wheel, or Freebird, one of those that people always shout at you. So you'll go from, one bar and you'll hear Wagon Wheel, and then you'll go to the next bar and you'll hear Wagon Wheel like 2 songs later. Then you'll go to another bar and then there'll be Wagon Wheel. It's just like they're just recycling the same songs over and over again. And when I was coming back up to Columbus, I didn't want to take that approach. Let's start playing some music that, people aren't going to, they may be more difficult songs that you can sing. We do a lot of Chris Stapleton stuff. Parachute's one of the hardest songs that I sing personally, and we try to do it in the same key as him. And if you're playing a 4-hour show and that song comes up at like the 3.5-hour mark, it's you're struggling to get past it. So, and I don't know if I unfortunately don't get to go see many other bands play, but I don't know if any other bands would be playing that song necessarily. So when you come to a North to Nashville show, that's the kind of stuff that we want to give those people, or songs that that they may not hear anywhere else. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I certainly believe that the band that we have, the songs that we're playing, songs that we're writing, I don't want them necessarily sounding like anything else that they've ever heard. You know, there is a certain sound that radio puts out, right? Country radio puts out, that they kind of maybe all sound the same.
Yeah.
So it's taking that sound and reworking it to something that is original in your eyes, in my eyes at least. So, you know, yeah, we'll see what happens. Like I said, when the record comes out, but when people come to shows, just they're going to get a big booming voice, me screaming and sweating into the microphone for 3 or 4 hours, and it'll be a dance party for sure.
Dude, do you get like you know, scarves or something put around your neck and throw them out to the fans? I mean, do you have any kind of like signature thing you do?
I try.
Throw them peanuts. I mean, something.
If I had I throw guitar picks, so we got
okay.
So that's what I start whipping at people is guitar picks towards the end of the night. I have a little bit of the Nashville stuff, but I can't be wearing scarves up on stage, man. I sweat too much. So
yeah. Well, so did Elvis, man. But that's what the ladies seem to like, you know.
Elvis, he had those long, long pants, long shirts. I don't understand how he was doing that, but yeah.
Hey, tell me something though. You were in Nashville, like you said. I mean, you struck out to Nashville, meaning not mean you struck out in Nashville. You struck out to Nashville to make it, right? To make it big. And would explain those years there. How frustrating was it? I mean, how enlightening was it? You know, all at the same time.
So the first like 2 years living in Nashville was like a learning experience, learning the ins and outs of the music industry and like what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, what you should be writing, who you should be writing with, like how many times you should be writing. So it's like, I was just trying to get a sense of how the music industry worked. I still don't really have a good grasp of everything, but I at least know enough to be dangerous right now. So the first 2 years, I wasn't putting too much pressure on myself. The last 3 or 4 years, I was like, hey man, we got to maybe make something move. And I joined up with a band out of Buffalo, and that didn't end up going anywhere. And that was like fairly disappointing. I don't know. It was just a weird time for me down there. I didn't really have anything cooking. I was writing. I made friends with a lot of great writers who I still kind of keep in touch with today, and we'll still like text ideas to each other back and forth, and we'll send lyrics, or we'll even hop on Zooms and we'll write some stuff. So I'm thankful for that side of things. But yeah, it just got to the point where it kind of stalled out on me. I wasn't playing too many shows. I was doing more of the writers round things. I was focusing more on like the writer stuff.
Yeah.
And, when that kind of died out, my wife, she was offered the opportunity at a job up here at Abbott. And, you know, she moved down there for me back in 2012. And so it was like, we made the move back up here for her. And I always said, like, you're a small fish in a huge pond down there in Nashville. Everyone's trying to do the same thing. I don't look at it as a mistake necessarily, because of what I learned, like I said, in those first couple of years.
Correct.
I mean, that's where I learned to be a songwriter. I mean, that's where I learned how to put together chords and music and ideas down on pen and paper, and then translate them into the guitar and like different melodies and what works. So like I learned all that stuff down there. So I always told her like, hey, if the time comes, or if an offer comes and that we have to, you know, kind of get out of town, I can still do this up in Columbus. Like there's a lot of people that are making music. Look at the Texas music scene. Like I did an interview not too long ago with somebody, and it was like, it'd be cool to like kind of create this like Ohio music scene.
Yeah.
Kind of, because like the Texas country like music industry that's its own little thing down there, like you know. So there's been so many like Texas dudes that just play around the state of Texas, and I'm not saying I only want to focus on the state of Ohio, because I think we're good enough to expand our music to, you know, the entire country. But like I said, that's kind of where I learned everything. And I just want to, I kind of lost my train of thought where I was going, but
No, I mean, bottom line is there is no train track that leads you exactly where you want to go. I don't mean to pick up on train of thought there, but that, there is no, I mean, it is like there are sightings, and all kinds of things that can take you off your beam or suddenly take you into like, being discovered. It's like you say, you were a 10-year overnight discovery. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's where I was going with it. So like, yeah, being the small fish in a big pond up here, well, coming back up to Ohio and knowing the voice that I have and my writing capabilities, now I'm like, you can kind of be the big fish in a small pond and really, hone in on your audience and get your core audience from the market that you live in and where people are going to come see, whether you're playing up in Westerville or out of Buckeye Lake or in Marysville. So like, we've got people from all over Central Ohio, all over Ohio. I've got, people from Wheeling that are coming out, seeing us play up in like Dublin. So it's just like that, when you see those people out there, it's just like, okay, this is pretty cool. The range that these people are driving to come see you. So yeah, if we can build up a big enough audience here, it's funny so we opened up for Luke Combs in 2019, and I remember him saying something like when he first came out, he loves playing in the state of Ohio. Country music fans are amazing in the state of Ohio. So Ohio was always one of his favorite states to come in and play. And I absolutely agree with that. I think people in Ohio love country music. And I think North to Nashville is giving them music that, they don't have to drive to Nashville to hear.
Yeah. Evan, a thing that's always puzzled me, because I have no singing voice, just ask my wife or anyone else who's heard me, but I had brothers that could sing extremely well. I have one brother, my one lone remaining brother, who thinks he can sing. He thinks he sounds like Elvis, but who doesn't, right? But my point is, Tony, he'll get a kick out of that. But he actually watches these podcasts. But I wanted to ask you, when did you find your voice? And you know where I'm going with this, because a lot of people try to imitate people, like I said about Elvis or whomever, Freddie Mercury, etc. My favorite front man ever. Although I may count you up in there. We'll see. But but the bottom line is, a lot of people end up trying to, they kind of fake a voice instead of it being their voice. And when did you find, I guess, your voice as a singing voice that you find that you think is unique? Explain that process.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you brought that up. So as I was saying, like Garth Brooks, I think actually came out and said that he would listen to other people's songs and get ideas from other people's songs. So I kind of think of it the same way when like, I'm going to answer this question, because I hear like some stuff that Chris Stapleton does, and I hear some stuff that like Lee Rice does, or even like I said earlier, when I was listening to like my mom would listen to like Brooks and Dunn and all that stuff and pick up on different. John Michael Montgomery is another guy that she absolutely loved. So like listening to those guys, I can kind of hear some vocal riffs that I'm like, okay, that might have been something that like one of those guys did in the past, and I'm subconsciously now doing it. But when you said like some guys may be faking like an accent or something like that. So back in 2000 and I believe it was 14, it was one of my first couple of years in Nashville. I went out and tried out for The Voice. So drove over to St. Louis and did the whole through the whole process thing, and I ended up getting in front of the judges. I need a chair turned around, so that's like another obstacle in this Evan Blankenship journey here. But I didn't get a chair turned around. But when you're at the voice, they give you a vocal coach, and mine was one, Jelani Rose. And I remember I was singing a song, and she was like, "Can you just stop me for a second?" And she was just asking me like random questions, and I was like talking to her just like I'm talking with you, and she's like, "You don't really have an accent when you talk, so like where's this accent coming from when you sing?" And I'm like, "I don't really know. I think I'm just singing it how the guy is singing it in the song." And she's like, "You got to make it your own. You got to sing like how you want to sing, how like what your voice is like built for." And that kind of like blew away a little bit, or I was like, okay, maybe I don't need to impersonate every single line, every single word that some of these other guys are singing. So whenever I would like write my own song or whatever, it's like it's me singing stuff. It's not, I'm not trying to pick up on, I'm trying to do how everybody else is doing it. That's like what when we play some of these songs or cover songs for shows. I listen to other vocal coaches on YouTube, and that's one of the main things that they say is to make it your own. So, you want to sing within the boundaries of the song itself, but, throw in some of your own little, riffs that you're good at. That's kind of what I do. So, it was probably like around those early Nashville years. Like I said, I learned a lot in there, and that was a big lesson for me is, don't try to sing it like anybody else. Sing it how you sing, how you want to sing it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I call it the Star Spangled Banner. Everybody, you like people that just step up there and sing it. I mean, with
Right.
a little bit of their real voice, but don't take me over, like Carl Lewis tried to do, and countless others. Don't try to take me on a journey, of how you can basically screw up, the Star Spangled Banner. Sing it with your voice, because your voice usually will stand, you know what I mean, on its own, without the jazzification.
Theatrics. If you got it, like flaunt it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Personality, I guess, is like what I'm trying to say. Like show what the uniqueness. Everybody's got their own voice. Everyone has their own unique characteristics in their voice. So show that out. I'm more of like a baritone, so like I can kind of hit. I'm talking to you now, so I've got kind of like a lower voice, but I can still kind of hit higher notes up in my register, and I try to expose that whenever I go out there and sing.
Yeah,
not a lot of baritones can do that.
Yeah, one of my favorite guys right now is a guy named Jonathan Antoine. He's a tenor out of England, and he was on like the whatever it was, something talent, England's Got Talent or whatever it is over there. But with Simon Cowell and all those guys. But I friended him on Twitter. And it's clear that this guy had a naturally great voice. He's up there in, sweatpants. He's a big fat guy at that point, up there in sweatpants. His hair didn't look like his hair had been done for 6 weeks, whatever. Yeah. But man, when he opened his mouth, oh my goodness. And my wife and I actually went to see him in Toronto a couple of years ago before, Canada got closed, everybody, because of COVID. Yeah. But it was funny because he knows me, from following him on Twitter and boosting him. But my point is, he just sings his voice. He doesn't try to do Pavarotti, He tries to do. And I've always been intrigued by that, finding your own voice, because usually your own voice is unique, right? Yeah. I mean, that's what separates you from the other guy, right?
That's exactly it. And like what I said earlier, about when you'll go bar hopping to, different spots in Nashville, and you'll kind of hear the same song over and over and over again. Well, it's almost like, I don't want to knock anybody down Nashville, but kind of everybody sounds the same down there. It's like everybody wants to have a Southern draw, and they want to sing the songs in the same way. And that's just not for me. I don't care if I mess up a song, or I don't care if we don't play it the same way. I want to play it how I want to play it, how, I want to put my spin on it. Right.
Yeah.
So I think our crowds have been appreciative of that, not doing the same thing that they hear every other time they may hear a song. So
can I ask you one last thing about the music business? I'll get out of here. And I want to ask you a couple things about Ohio State football again, just for the fun of it. See if you're paying attention. But when you guys do cover, when you're a cover band and you cover songs, do you have to pay for that?
When you do cover songs, no. I think that's there's like an artistic license that kind of frees you from doing.
Is that right?
Cover songs. Yeah. So like if I wanted to go out and record Purple Rain and put it on a record, like I don't believe that I would have to like pay anybody for that. Now there is a thing that you can do with BMI and ASCAP and all these songwriting companies is anytime you kind of go out and play, you can kind of upload a set list, and the songwriters that wrote those songs will get paid like every time you go out and play that. So usually what I'll do, is I'll like upload a set list, and like I've got songs on there that I've written that I'm part of like BMI. And so I will get paid my 10 cents every time I play that song. So but I mean, you get guys like Luke Combs and some of these other like huge songwriters, and you've got however many millions of people around the country singing your stuff. I mean, it starts adding up a little bit. But so there is a way that those guys can get paid, but there's some, I think there's some like artistic licensing that kind of frees you from having to pay doing any kind of covers and all that.
At 10 cents. As soon as you said that, it reminded me of that Seinfeld episode where Jerry Seinfeld's comedy or something was being rehashed over in Japan, and he got these checks. What do you call those checks? Residual checks or whatever. And it would be like for 48 cents or something, and he had to sign them all, and he got a hand cramp. Huh?
So you get paid every 3 months, like every quarter you'll get paid from like 2 quarters ago.
Yeah.
It's something like that. And my last my last commission check or revenue check, whatever you want to call it, was the first time I ever hit $20 on it. So we're moving on up in the world, baby. So,
but dude, seriously, that's a compliment, man. I mean, like you said, as long as it keeps moving up incrementally, but that means somebody's using your stuff, somebody's playing your stuff, right? I mean, that's a compliment, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, it's funny. So it goes directly into our bank account, and for the last however many years, like every 3 months, you get 47 cents, $1.20, $1.79, and it's just like it's been kind of cool to see it kind of growing and growing to where we're like, okay, now we're over $20. Let's see if we can get it to $50. Let's see if we can get it to 100. Let's see if we can get it to 1,000. So like, I mean, we'll see if one song takes off, then we may be shooting for the stars here, but we'll see.
Hey, real quick before you go, do you promote Ohio State football when you're out on some of your shows? I mean, I would think some of your following is based on the fact that you were an Ohio State football player, and you've got a cadre of those guys that follow you. Obviously, I don't mean necessarily like the Hickory basketball team, but they follow, I guess how proud are you of, like right now, I mean, Ohio State's considered one of the premier, maybe top 2 or 3 schools football wise in the country at this moment and stuff. But just kind of give me that feel of like the roots there that you kind of draw from there, but your pride of being a former Buckeye, well, you're not a former Buckeye, you're a former Buckeye player. Go ahead.
Yeah. So every show we have a song called "Not Bad for a Night's Work," and it was one of the first songs I worked on when I moved to Nashville. So that was like the first song that I even got experience in, like singing in a recording booth, like going into the studio and seeing how guys like actually make a song and how to edit a song. So it's called Not Bad for a Night's Work. And when we go out and play it, there's usually there's like a drum beat that'll start the song, and I'll talk over the drum beat and I'll tell my little story. I've got a little 2-minute spiel about how from 2007 to 2011, I was a part of, the Ohio State football team, going to one of the greatest, universities in the world. And, I'll do my whole OHIO kind of thing to the crowds, and, they eat that stuff up.
Yeah.
But that's where I tell them my story. Like, I was playing football from 2007 to 2011. Then when my playing days were done, I moved down to Nashville, and this is the very first song that I had the privilege of working on down in Nashville, and then we go right into it. So I always love tying that story into that song, because that's really where it started. And so, after shows, people will come up, and then that's when they start asking you, like, oh, what position did you play? And like, oh, were you a linebacker? And I'm like, oh boy, I wish I was a linebacker back then. But I was like 40, 50 pounds heavier back then. So
offensive line, baby.
Yeah, but no, it's awesome. I mentioned earlier, we got to open up for Eric Church back in June, and that was the first time I got to meet Ryan Day and just talk. So I got to talk to him for about 20 or 30 minutes, and I thanked him for everything that he's done for the university, the football program, the school. So yeah, I'm super proud to be a former Buckeye and to be an alumni of Ohio State. So I'm very I wrote a song not too long ago called "Damn Yankees." It'll probably be on our second record that we come out with. But you have all these Southern folks that they always talk about their pride and like being from the South and being from like Georgia and Alabama and all that stuff. Well, I mean, we got that same stuff up here too. Like I'm just as proud to come from Ohio State as you are to come from Georgia or Alabama. So I understand country music kind of like started in the South I'm not trying to knock anything of that, but like we got that stuff up here too. So like, I'm just as proud to be a Buckeye as all those guys are to be from a Florida Gator or a Georgia Bulldog. So
yeah, I was going to say when Alabama wanted to got serious about football, they hired a guy from Cleveland to be, to run things. I mean, so it's like, you're exactly right. Hey man, now people are going to be mad at me if I don't ask you this. Can you give me one verse of either one of those songs? Just one verse.
Which one? Which one you want?
Give me the one you were talking about when you got the, either one. I think the damn Yankees one sounds more like football theme.
You want? Is it going to be too much dead air if I run and go grab my guitar?
No, we'll just right now I'm telling my producer to pause it right here.
Yeah, let me go grab it real quick.
All right. Hey, Evan, I appreciate you running out to get your guitar there, man. Give us maybe that second verse of Damn Yankees, which is going to be coming out on maybe your second. Well, yeah, I think you said your second album, Mike.
Yeah, I think we got the first one all set and done right now. But so I think this may be coming up on the second one.
And this has a football kind of motif to it, right? As you explained.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, like I said, I just felt like I would run on the treadmill and I would hear all these guys talk about, being from the South and South this and South that. And I'm like, nobody's got a song about being from up north that I know of. So
yeah,
second verse kind of goes like this. Your football teams do better, but I love to see them play in the winter. When the snow comes down, a high 20 on the ground, you ain't throwing that ball far now. Our boots are just as dirty and our trucks are just as high. What makes you think we can't compete up past a Mason-Dixon line? So
that's good.
Yeah,
I just thought of Zeke Elliott going like 85 on Alabama right there, in 2014. Didn't you?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think of. But yeah, I kind of maybe messed up a little of the chorus there, but our sweet tea mate's funny, and we damn sure don't roll tide, but we still talk to Jesus just like you do every night. Our belts are made of rust, and our skies are colored gray. Our shine comes clear, it's made right here in almost heaven, USA. From Detroit down to Indy, Pittsburgh to Cincy, we're proud to be a bunch of damn Yankees, damn Yankees.
Damn, I hope none of my kinfolk down in Alabama hear that song. I was just down there. We finally put my mom and dad's ashes in the ground a couple of weeks ago in Tuscaloosa and stuff. But yeah, no, that's good stuff. They do think they invented football, man. I am not kidding you. And I went to Alabama home games when I was a kid, back in the early 60s, at 61 to 64 with my dad and older brother. But yeah, the pride's what drives these things, man. I was wanting to ask you about, you've been around the country, but especially regionally. Is college football in for a world of hurt the more it keeps expanding these conferences? What's your take? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. It's just, is the Big Ten even really the Big Ten anymore? It's like, it's going to be like the Big 25 here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's just, yeah, I don't know. Like, I understand why the schools are doing it. I understand why the universities and everybody wants to kind of like partner together and like do all these like major TV deals and all this stuff. Right. But at the end of the day, I mean, Ohio State games are still going to be like the passion and everything, the tradition, everything is still going to be there. I think once you start taking away the traditions, like the Ohio State Michigan game will never go away. I don't believe so.
Yeah.
So it's just like, but once you start removing the tradition, I think that's when college football will really start crumbling. I don't foresee, ratings plummeting because Oregon is going to be in the Big Ten now. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or USC, like maybe Ohio State has to play USC at 10:30 at night here on the East Coast. It's just like, that's just something that we may have to deal with, but yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a weird landscape. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like it's just a weird time to be in college football. I think it'll all work itself out in the end. but we're just kind of maybe going through some uncertainties and some like maybe growing pains right now. But I think, like you said, the passion for college football will always be there. So if we can start renewing some of these like major rivalries that we had, like, you know, the Pitt and Penn States of the world, you know, if we can maybe bring some of those back, I think that might reignite.
Help.
Yeah, it would certainly help some of the stuff. But, you know, we'll see. I don't know.
Well, I was going to say, see, your song a second ago, though, it touched on it. I mean, college football is about pride. I mean, it's about pride and where you're living, you know, because there are a lot of nouveau Alabama fans. You know what I mean? I mean, a lot of nouveau Alabama. They don't remember back in that time between Gene Stallings and Nick Saban, the big swoon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about regional pride, about bragging about where you're from and your team, right? I mean, that's what kind of like makes it different.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's got their own, like, I mean, even it's kind of cool seeing now, like even in the state of Ohio, with what Coach Fickle's doing down in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And, so he's turning that like program around down there. There's still kind of like now there's like an in-state like kind of rivalry thing here going on. So I mean, yeah, we'll see where things happen with that. But yeah, everybody loves their schools, their regions. That's not going to ever change, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But dude, I mean, Cincinnati is going to be in the Big 12, you know, and West Virginia's in the Big 12. I mean, it's just crazy, whatever. Hey, last thing, give people an idea where you're going to be the next couple of weeks. Maybe some people can run into you who maybe haven't seen your act before or your group before.
Yeah, so this weekend we're playing out in Belmont, Ohio for the Blame My Roots Festival. We're there with Walker Montgomery and Nico Moon. So I think we play at 6 o'clock there on Thursday. Friday we are playing in Powell. I think they call the festival like the Dog Days of Summer. So we're playing in Powell on Friday night. And oh gosh, I'll have to look at my schedule. It's so bad. Like we're so booked out. I have to take it just like week by week, because if I start looking ahead too much, I start getting like my anxiety starts kind of freaking out a little bit.
Here's you a song. Here's you a song title. I woke up this morning, my head was in the wrong city. Go ahead now.
No, so we got we're actually on a little bit of a break towards the end of July. We picked things up back in August 4th. We're in Reynoldsburg. I believe that's the Reynoldsburg Tomato Festival.
Sweet.
We're doing the Friday night Uptowns in West Jeff, Ohio. That's August 5th. And then Hartford County Fair, August 9th. So that's a random Tuesday. And then we're at Country Jam out in Lazy Acres. I believe that's Nashport, Ohio.
Yeah.
Friday, August 12th. So we've got all of our dates on, I should say the majority of our dates are up on Facebook. I believe we have all of our dates on our website, northtonashville.com. But yeah, man, if any of the listeners want to check out North to Nashville, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, our website, like I said, northtonashville.com. So pretty much any other social media site there is, we're out there. So that's
I got you.
All of our dates and music.
Here's another song idea for you. It's just smooth as Vinton County moonshine. You know what I mean? That's Ohio roots, you know, something like that, bro.
We've become pretty good friends with some Vinton County boys that
I bet you have. I guarantee you. I mean, there's like 10 songs you can write about Vinton County, but I'm not sure how many of them you want to put on your album. But it'd be fun. Hey, Evan Blankenship, man, I appreciate you, my man. Appreciate you joining the Tim A podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, but this is fun. I'm glad we're able to do it.
Got it, man. And folks, until next week, this is Tim May for Evan Blankenship. We will see you then.
Good.